Hey everyone, we are going to talk about creating an accessible Canvas page. So we want to start in edit mode, and we're going to talk about chunking content. The first element of that is using white space thoughtfully. White space helps readers navigate and process information. So we want to avoid paragraphs that are too long. We want to make sure our text is left justified, that the spacing we use is at least 1.5, and Canvas spacing is already set to avoid these type of spacing violations. Next, we want to use headings. These are navigational signposts, and they allow for skimming and for readers to create an overview of the material. It's very important that we nest our headings sequentially. If we don't, students using screen readers will hear the information read to them out of order. So it's very important that these are sequential. So note that the title on a Canvas page is defaulted to heading 1. So any heading on a Canvas page needs to start with heading 2. You can see that here. If we highlight this, we see it's a heading 3. If we want to make paragraph text into a heading, we would highlight it and then choose the appropriate heading size. Next, let's talk about bulleted and numbered lists. One thing you want to avoid is typing in numbers like this, because this will also interfere with the way screen readers read material to students. Instead, we want to just type the list itself, and then we're going to highlight the text and use the number tool from the toolbar up here to create that correctly. Next, let's talk about color contrast. We want our color contrast to be at least 4.5 to 1, but an easier way is to just look at the color palette. So you can see this yellow text is very hard to see. We can highlight it and go to the color palette and choose something that is dark enough to have some contrast there. But the Canvas accessibility checker will tell us when our color is not correct, so I'll leave this here to show you that in a moment. Next, let's talk about meaningful links. One thing you want to avoid when you're creating a content page is using URLs. When URLs are read by a screen reader, they're very confusing. So instead, we want to create links that are contextual or have meaning to students so they know what they're clicking on. So notice here, here's my URL. I'm going to copy that. Here's the link that I want for students to be able to click on. I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to choose an external link. And here you can see the text that I already typed, and this is the link I want it to go to. So by doing it that way, now I have a link to that page. I've identified that it is a web page they will be going to, and we can eliminate that URL altogether. Also, we want to avoid phrases for our links like click here or here, especially when there's multiple of these on a page. It can be very confusing to students as to what they are clicking on. So instead, use meaningful text that tells the users where they will be clicking on or where they're going when they click on the link. So next, let's add an image. And we have two types of images often. There's pedagogical images that are part of the teaching and learning process, and there are decorative images. So if we go to the mountain and moon icon here, I can choose an image from my computer or different areas. Say I want to use this banner, and this is a banner for a page, so I want to include the alt text of the actual text included on the image. And I can submit that, and it will upload onto the page. Now I've got this banner here. If I wanted to check to make sure the alt text was correct, I can look at the image options. You can see the alt text. If you do check an image and see that it has an extension like JPEG on there, that is incorrect. You do not want extensions on the alt text. You also want to avoid phrases like image of or picture of. That's redundant language, and instead we want to just have a brief description of the image itself. Next, if we choose to insert a decorative image, we can again click on this mountain and moon icon, upload an image, and say I just want to upload this. It is not pedagogical, so I can click the decorative image box and submit it, and it will embed in the page. So lastly, I want to talk about embedding a document or linking a document on a page. You'll notice here I have an audio excerpt from a story that I'm asking students to read, but I would not want to provide only audio in case I had hearing impaired students or deaf students. So I'm also including the text of the story itself in a document here. So notice that the extension of the document is also not on here. We want to avoid extensions, but I am identifying what type of document I'm asking students to use by putting docx here. If you had a Google Doc or a PDF, you'd want to identify that in parentheses without it being an extension. So to link a document, and I've linked this one already, but let's just pretend like I haven't. I'm going to highlight the text. Let's actually unlink that so I can correct it. So I'm going to highlight this text, and if I want to find a file, I'm going to go to the Documents tab here, and I can upload a document from my computer, or I can grab a course document that's already here. So if I double click there, you'll note that the document gets linked into the contextual words that you place there, and students can directly open the document from the Canvas page. So these are just a few tips for creating an accessible Canvas page. I hope this helps you, and have a great time doing course design.